is a little bit elusive as far as trying to control exactly how to appeal to a particular search engine's algorithm. Really, quite frankly, it's impossible. The only thing you can do would be to follow the best SEOs out there who have blogs or have some sort of online publication. And they will usually kind of reverse engineer and try to figure out, okay, well, is it the number of keywords that you're after? Is it the tags on the page? Is it video? Is it, what are all those elements that actually the search engines are looking for so you can bolster that page or that website's relevancy in the searches? So that's what algorithms means. The architecture of your site is very important, and we'll have a whole slide on that, so I'll skip by that. Internal link structure, which is just the opposite of the first comment that was made about link building. It's not external websites linking in, but rather how many links do you have from page to page within your own website. And there are some things to know about that, which again we'll cover. Number 5, the number of inbound links, which goes directly to that earlier comment. The quality and the number of inbound links from other people's websites linking to yours is a very, very critical component to search engine optimization. And there are some major myths and some don'ts in that category for number 5 that we'll talk about. Number 6, tags. And this is probably something that more of you have probably heard and understand. There's meta tags, there are alt tags, there are what I call HX tags, which are usually defined as H1, H2, H3, and those are actual coding components that that you don't always see on the page when you're looking at it as a user, but reside behind the scenes to let search engines in their search bots, the software that actually crawls the sites, understand what is important on your site and what to overlook. So we'll talk a little bit about that strategy. We'll talk about keyword usage and the intent of that keyword usage to make sure you're appealing to the right people, the right target audience. And lastly, just odds and ends. There's a bunch of different little techniques that we can use to discuss how to actually influence your rankings. Are there any questions about that without getting into too much detail?
I have one question. Are we going to get a copy of this slide later?
Absolutely.
Kind of right now.
Priscilla?
Okay. Right.
Well, I'm going to put it on SharePoint after.
Okay.
And we are recording it, so it'll have my audio with it as well, so you can actually listen to my droning on for 45 minutes all by yourself at your desk.
Okay, because it's actually helpful to get the materials ahead of time so that you can write notes beside it. It just saves you a lot of time when you're listening.
Oh, okay, yes, definitely. Next
Yeah.
time I'll go ahead and attach that in the invite so you guys can write your notes right next to it.
It's a good idea.
Right. That would be great.
I believe there are about maybe 15 or 17 pages on this. So if you can mentally figure out which, I think we're on slide 4.
Okay.
So these are the boring stats. I'll go ahead and get these out of the way. On the flip side of that, the interesting thing, I'm going to start off at the bottom right corner here. Over 75% of offline purchases start with online search, and that's an old Nielsen stat from 2007. And so it's and the trend is obviously going more and more that way. The important thing to take away from this is, when you're planning your media buys and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do we do some local marketing that's going to be effective, and some of these statistics will really help you gauge and how to figure out how to balance those, because most of the offline purchases, somebody wants to buy a car, somebody wants to do some research during due diligence to find a property management company, for instance. That might apply here. Who knows? That search is generally done offline or online first. So they're out there searching on Google and MSN Bing and Yahoo and all the different search engines out there, using keywords to find companies that match their criteria, or they're putting in questions or pain points and they're looking for solutions, and we want to be found on those too. So that really talks and speaks to strategy. The top right left corner, Forrester reported in 2009 that interactive marketing will represent over 21% of total marketing budgets across the United States, which is, in 2009 that was a $55 billion figure. I mean, that's an extraordinary amount of money. If you trend that over the past 10 years, you would see amazing jumps toward that number and beyond. First position in organic search results receive over 40% of the traffic. I think we all generally understand that. The first 10 positions, and this is an interesting fact, receive 89% of all traffic. So yes, first position's great. You're going to get the lion's share of search on that particular keyword, but the top 10% positions rather receive almost all of the traffic. So what that tells us is, while we're not always going to be competitive in first position, we can certainly attempt to get into the top 10 position for the best keywords and key phrases that are most relevant to us in our particular markets. So that's really going to be the focus, and I'm sure Jennifer and the marketing teams and so forth are working toward that goal. Are there any questions about that? Any of those stats? Okay. If you have any questions at all, feel free to jump in. We'll have a little Q&A session right, at the tail end. So if you want to jot them down, that'd be fine too. Getting into the site design and the technical mumbo jumbo. The information I wanted to get across here was the importance of a good URL, the actual site structure itself. Now, what I did here is I have a screenshot of a site that I built for the Continental Group Realty, which is the commercial division. They do multifamily, individual unit, resort, and commercial property management and rentals. So one of the searches I did there was multifamily property management Tampa. It was in Google. I hit search, and you'll see there at the fourth result down is multifamily property management company in Tampa, St. Petersburg, so on and so forth. And if you notice, the actual website address itself is www.tcgr.com/property-management/multifamily, so on and so forth, all the way down to the local market. So the actual the URL, what we call naming convention, the way it's actually written out is friendly to not only search engines, but it's friendly to humans. And as we talk about this, you'll start picking up a theme where, generally speaking, if you build your sites to be friendly to the human eye and our natural tendency to read from right to left, top to bottom, all the different behavioral things. The search engine algorithms that we discussed before are starting to really tie well into that. They're really starting to lean toward more human-friendly bits and pieces, if you will. So the URL naming convention, we deliberately used, obviously a short domain, but the word property-management, the word multifamily, the word Florida, the word Orlando. I used the wrong example here. I should say Tampa. But you get the point. And then when they click on that link, guess what they see? And I'm going to flip over to the actual website here, and I'll pull it up.